Hello, welcome back. Today, in this lesson, we're talking about try, catch, and throw. Now, in the simplest terms, try and catch is sort of like an if-else statement. The only difference is in a try-catch, it's not looking for a specific if-else, it's looking for any errors. And as a developer, you're going to run into a plethora of errors, and sometimes you don't know what to do with them. Now, a good developer will take that information, the error, and they will handle it. They will process it, and they will make sure that the user has a great experience even though there is an error. The lazy developer will just kill the script. And we see this a lot with PHP developers. And it's a terrible habit that a lot of developers get into. But if you run into an error, you should be handling it. Now, a try-catch block looks a lot like this. You have try, code in here, and you have catch with your error in here. Now, what does this do? Well, before we get into that, I want to tell you a best practice. Do not nest your try-catch blocks. That means do not put another try in here with another catch error. That gets really messy, and that sort of negates the point of try and catch. Instead, you want to write small try-catch errors. If you're not sure that something's going to give you the proper response, then, and only then, will you write a try-catch error. They're not as frequently written as if-else statements, but they are incredibly important, and they come with pretty much every programming language these days. So, let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens here. We're going to try to execute a function that does not exist. I just save that, refresh my page, I get nothing. Open up my console, there's nothing in there. Okay, but is there an error? So let's try this. Alert error.message. This was what was returned to us. Does not exist is not defined. From here on out, we want to sort of stay away from errors unless we're doing some serious debugging, in which case that's fine, but a better practice is either console log or just log it straight to the page. So in our index.html, we still have this test div element. So let's go ahead and document query selector test.innerHTML is equal to error.message. Now, when there is an error, it comes in the form of an object. And this object is where you get this dot notation. Now, remember back with data types. This was like 100 years ago at the beginning of this course. We were able to access object data using a period. That's unique to objects. We can't do that with arrays. Arrays are the square hard brackets. Functions are the rounded brackets, the parentheses. And so whenever you see a dot, that's an object. We save this, go to our page, hit OK. I just refreshed, and now in our test element, it says does not exist is not defined. But what other information do we get? Well, we can do a console log on the entire error object, refresh the page, and the error that comes back is right here. Now, if you just want to console log the error, you can do that too. Console log error and error.message. I'll show you what this returns. I just refreshed the page, and the error was a reference error. The error message itself is does not exist is not defined. Now, what if we want to customize this? What if we said, if 1 is equal to 1, that's always true. 1 is always equal to 1. Else, physics is lying. Physics is a lie if this is true. If the 1 does not equal 1. Now, in here, what we can do is we can throw an error. Save that, reload our page, and we get a sample error, undefined. Cool. So we now know that the error itself is a sample error. We know this because it's logging the error. So now we have some sort of direction. We can fully customize this and say, instead of a sentence for an error, we can say unknown user. And in here, we say if error is equal to unknown user, do something in here. Otherwise, it's a different error. Now, what we can do here is instead of returning unknown user back to the page, users don't want to see error messages like that. And most users don't even know what things like that actually are. They just think, oh, that's weird. That's probably not supposed to happen. And it's kind of freaky for them. But for us as developers, we know exactly what to do. We give them a custom error message. We say, sorry, you're no longer signed in. Just like that. Now, let's go back, refresh our page, and it says, sorry, you're no longer signed in. And the error message is unknown user. That is data flow. Now we have something to work with. Now, to make this a little bit better, let's do this. Name, let's do name. Variable name is equal to prompt, what's your name? And if name does not equal to some secret name, let's put secret. We're going to throw an error. Otherwise, do something good. And we'll just say, you are allowed in here. Just like that. Save, refresh. What's your name? Well, we're looking for the name secret. It says, you are allowed in here. Awesome. Okay, so let's refresh again. What's your name? My name is Caleb. And it should throw me an unknown user error. And it did. Unknown user. And because we knew what that error was, we were able to customize that and tell the user that I'm no longer signed in, or that I'm a guest, or that I'm not allowed, or something along those lines. And that makes the user experience just a little bit smoother. Leave a comment in here. Throw a new error. Now, we have one more in here, and that's finally. Finally goes along with try and catch. And what that means is, regardless of what happens in here, always run this next section. So what we can do is we can copy this line and we can append to it and say, let's add some HTML, just a basic line break, and write try, catch, finally was run. Just like that. Refresh the page. What's your name? Let's go, no, we don't want secret. We want something to show up. Caleb says, sorry, you're no longer signed in. Try catch finally was run. Now we can redirect people. We can move them to another page. We can force them to sign out. So now you see we have a try, catch, and finally, but we have an if statement in there, and that's totally allowed. You can have as many if else statements as you want in there. The only thing you shouldn't do is put a try catch inside of a try catch. That's sort of a no-no. It's allowed, but it's a bad practice. Now for your assignment, what I would like you to do is create another try, catch, finally block, just like what you see here. I want you to throw your own error. I don't really care how you get that error. You don't even necessarily need to prompt for any sort of information. You can just throw the error if you like. I know you're familiar with prompt already. I would like you to throw an error, and then in your catch block, I would like you to control the data flow of that error. What is going on with this? How are you going to handle this situation? And then when the try and catch are done running, you add your finally block, and that can really be anything. Any sort of signal that states, oh, hey, the try and the catch are done. It could be an alert, it could be a console log, you could do some inner HTML change if you like. Whatever it is, just get a little bit of experience with try, catch, and finally. This is one of those things that separates a mediocre developer from a great developer. And it's also one of those fundamental programming concepts that you can take with you to other languages as well. Like PHP, for example, a very, very common language, uses a very similar syntax to this. And the way that you flow your data is the exact same in almost every language. It's just you need to know how to write that language, that's all. But once you know how a try-catch finally works in JavaScript, you'll figure it out in PHP even faster. You'll figure it out in Python even faster than that. So go ahead, get a try-catch finally set up and working. Don't forget, you can refer to these project files at any time. I give you the exact code that you see on the screen at the end of every lesson. And remember, if you have questions, feel free to ask down below, or you can hop on the Facebook page and ask us there too. There's a lot of support and a lot of developers in there, and we're all willing to help you out.